Hey guys, we are going to see another way of initial access. So we'll be using the scanning tools. So you all know. So if you want to know about your enemy, you need to gather some information about your enemy, right? That the same way, if you are targeting an organization, you need to know about the organization, what services they are using, what ports they are using, what is the version of the service, and whether they are using any victim like easily targeted services like VPNs or 3389. So in this video, we are going to see another one of uh, way the threat actors will use most of the time the ransomwares. So we are facing 40 to 50% of the attacks from the RDP sessions. Okay, so let's start our video in a practical. I'm querying the 3389. So if you know about the 3389 port, that belongs to the RDP. Okay, so the port 21 belongs to the FTP, port 3389 belongs to the RDP. Okay, so let's open any of the terminal. So if you see here 3389, there is a remote RDP connections has been available, right? So we can connect through the RDP. So it was in the public facing application. So we can use this RDP connection to get into the machine. Okay, so that's the point. So in this IP here, you can find there's a RDP has been open, and here the RDP has been open. And okay, so let's get on to the practical. So I just created I just installed one of the VM, and I'm going to hack this VM using the RDP methods. Okay, so first of all, we need if we need to log into the RDP, we need the usernames and password. Okay, so we'll be get clear about this video. We will do one by one. Okay, so I just created one of the user called, my username is AJAY, and my password will be pass. This is my username and password. Okay, I will just typing here blindly. Let me go to the user Ajay. Yeah, so my password will be PASS. Okay, so I'm logging to my username. Okay, so let's go to an exploit. Okay, so for RDP brute forcing, I'm going to use a Hydra. Okay, so here is a Hydra command. I'm going to use a Hydra for the RDP brute force. Okay, so the T will be, let me explain the Hydra command. Hydra dash H. So if the first option will be T, right? So if you go for a T, it's a task. Okay, so we are going to target only one target. Okay, we are going to target a Windows machine, so it's a only one target. So the next one, so the next command will be 1. We are going to target 1. Okay, right? CV will be a verbose. Verbose will be giving more additional informations. That's all. And F will be the, let's see that. Yeah. So when a username password is successfully found, we need to terminate this session, right? So we'll be seeing this later. So dash L means a login name, and dash P means a password. Okay. So let me give the login name as Ajay. So this is the test.txt. I just created one WordPress file. Oh, sorry, one of the text document. Let me give some more thing. This is the file we are going to use for brute force. Okay. So the threat actors contain lot of passwords in the file. I'll be guiding you how to take this password from the GitHub. So here you can find I have created a small word list for doing a brute force. So let me do a brute force. Okay, so let me do a brute force, and we will be will go for a login. Okay, so let me so now the attack has been started. So you can find, so it was attacking one by one. The username is Ajay. It was trying one by one. Basically the brute force means like trying one by one usernames and password. Okay, so we have created few passwords in the uh, file called test.txt, and we are going to try one by one username and password. Okay, So you can see it first it tried AJA, the first entry. So the login was failed. Okay, 0 child. So the login was failed. And you tried the next entry, next line. So next the login was failed, and it tried one by one. And finally, if you see the last, so I can get a green line. So Ajay, so RDP host will be the username and password will be pass. Okay. So we are successfully found the RDP section. In the same way, the threat actors will using this. Okay, in the same way the threat actors will be using this publicly available RDP service for a brute force. Okay, they will be brute forcing this kind of publicly accessible service, and they will be finding their usernames and passwords, and they will be logging into their machine. So I will be giving, so how to log in into, I will be giving a small example how to log in into the machine. So already we have found a username and password. This is the one I just created for my own. Okay, so I'll be guiding you how to take a big brute force documents like login fields like usernames and password. So xfree RDP, there is a one tool called XP RDP for Linux machine. So you can go for a user as a AJAY, and you can go for a password. So password we know, so it already brute force, PASS will be the password, and we need to give the host name. Okay, so host name or an IP address. So my host name will be, or IP address will be the 192.168.18.10. so this is the Windows machine. So this is the Windows machine host name which I create installed. Okay, so let's 192.168.18.10. so let me enter. So now it was asking some certification. Let me give Y. So now you can see I got a screen connect directly, right? I got a screen connect. I can able to control each and everything. Okay, I can able to do anything here. Okay, so I can go to the browser. Okay, so this section will be logged out. Okay, so I can go to the browser. I can do whatever I want. I can do. Okay, I can do anything. Okay, so this is the way the threat actors will brute force the RDP username and password. They will be using this kind of X-free RDP or any other tools. They will be logging into their machine directly. Okay, so this is a very powerful method the threat actors will be follow. You can do anything. You can go to anywhere. You can go to you can set anything you want. Okay, so this is the another way exploiting the remote services. So this you need to be very careful. So if your username and passwords are very weak, if your password was weak, okay, the threat actors can able to easily enter into your organizations. Okay, so so you can see how easily I get into the servers, right? I just created a small word list for a brute force attempt for my brute force, and I used the Hydra tool for a brute force. Finally I got a username and password. I used that username and password for login into the RDP, right? So it's a very easy method, and it's a very powerful method the threat actor will be following. I will be giving a live example. So how the threat actor will be using the RDP. So how we did the same way the threat actor will be using, the hackers will be using. So RDP ransomware using RDP. So you can see RDP can be used by a ransomware attack, typically the port 3389. We already queried with the showdown 3389. So you can find everything here, 3389 remote desktop protocol. Okay, so you can do some brute forcing in that, and you can get the credentials, and you can directly log into the organization. This is the one of the way. Okay, so here you can find a lot of ransomware they will be using. So see here, RDP abuse prevents in 90% of the ransomware breaches. Okay, so 90% of the ransomware breaches, it will be happened by the RDP. So if you see this Zscaler blog, RDP so ransomware delivered using RDP brute force attempt. Okay, so how we did the brute forcing, the similar way, the same way the threat actors will be doing the brute force attempt. They will be get inside the machine. Okay, So you'll need to be very careful about that. Okay, so the threat actors will be using RDP for a initial access. Okay, so let's I hope you have a clear understanding about the RDP. So first of all, we just created one of the word list file to use for a brute force, and we use a Hydra tool to brute force the RDP, and finally we got a username and passwords. So next we use the X3 RDP to login into the username and login into the Windows machine, right? So next we use the username and password to login into the Windows machine, right? So this is the same way. So you'll be exploiting the RDP in the public facing applications. Okay, and instead of this IP, he will be giving a your target, your company, which company you are targeting, that IP. Okay, so I hope you have a clear understanding about this video, how the threat actors will be hijacking or brute forcing RDP and get into the access. We will I will get into one more thing. There will be a brute force passwords and all raw q.txt 2024. So here is a word list. So this word list contain lot of passwords. Okay, so you can see here it's a 133 MB. You will be getting 133 megabytes of passwords. Probably it, more than like lakhs and lakhs of passwords. So you'll be getting everything. You are using this file for a brute force. Okay, so instead of giving the test.txt, you can give the raw.txt. Okay, so it will be opening. Okay, so here you can find a lot of username and password here. So there is it's uncountable. Okay, many usernames and password. Okay, so instead of you can using the just test file, I will be using the raw.txt. So if I need to brute force this kind of public facing applications. Okay, so be very careful. The threat actors will be using RDP for initial access, so your username and passwords will be very strong. So if your service RDP service is publicly accessible. Okay, so your RDP username and passwords will be very strong if you are using the RDP in a publicly accessible. Next thing, so if you don't want RDP for publicly accessible, you need to restrict that port. Okay, you need to block that port. Okay, so preventing this kind of attacks. If there is no RDP in their company environment, so the threat actor can't able to attack the RDP. They can't able to brute force the RDP. They can't able to get inside the organization through the RDP. Okay, so the first recommendation to be, so use a very good passwords, so that will be unknown by threat actors. And the next one, so restrict the RDP. And the final recommendation, if you can able to enable the multi-factor authentication, like a two-way authentications, like by authenticating through the mobile. So some OTP will be sent to the mobile like that. So go for that. Okay, these are the recommendations you need to provide to the customers. Okay, so I hope you have a clear understanding about the RDP control. So how we got the RDP. So I can able to control each and everything in this machine. Okay, so let's hop off this video and we will continue our discussion in the next video. See you guys. Bye bye. If you have any questions, any queries, just ping in a comment.